Let's get back to work, my friends. Greg Garrison with you as we once again find ourselves on Radio Row. All the noise you can hear are other radio shows that are being broadcast simultaneously with ours, 46 of them around the country between the 12-hour periods that we work here. And, of course, the conversation is about immigration reform, and that's not a euphemism for amnesty. That is the other side of that debate, which is, of course, intended to put their feet and hold their feet to the fire and get the Congress paying attention once again. Lou Barletta is our guest, and he was our guest this time last year. He is the mayor of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, the first city in the United States to say, whoa, enough, and to step back. Let's have him give us a little background. Mr. Mayor, welcome, and tell us what the situation was that got you guys fired up.
Thanks, Craig. Well, really what happened, I've had enough our quiet town saw an invasion of people who were here illegally and many committing very violent crimes where our once quiet neighborhoods became scenes of murder and gangs and graffiti. And I realized that I came down to Washington, asked for help, told them about our problem and our small budget, and what I got out of the meeting here in Washington was a nice coffee mug and a lapel pin, a pat on the back, and good luck.
And that was back when Bush was president.
That's right. It was in December of 2005. 6 months later, on a warm summer night, a 29-year-old city man was shot between the eyes by two individuals who were in the country illegally. The shooter who took his life was arrested 8 times in New York before he came to Hazelton. We spent over half of our yearly budget in overtime in the police department on that one murder, that one homicide. And I had enough. It was enough for me. I realized that our federal government wasn't going to do anything, and I had an obligation as the mayor of my city to stand up for the people I represent. So we passed an ordinance that punished businesses who knowingly hired illegal aliens and landlords who knowingly rented to illegal aliens, and we were sued. The plaintiffs that sued us were illegal aliens.
How do they...
They were represented by the ACLU and the Puerto Rican Legal Defense Fund. 36 lawyers lined up against the city of Hazleton. The illegal aliens who sued us asked the judge if their identities could be kept confidential from the media, from the public, and from the city of Hazleton who they were suing, which he granted. We were not allowed to ask their names. We were not allowed to ask where they were from. I'm not even certain if they were from Hazleton because we couldn't prove it. They then asked the judge if they could be excused from showing up at the trial because they're in the country illegally and they did not want to go to a federal courthouse out of fear of being deported, and he granted it.
Who is this kook anyway?
We never saw our accusers, never had the opportunity to cross-examine them. We felt that this federal judge gave illegal aliens more rights than a United States citizen would have because you cannot sue your city and not show up at a trial.
Who was this guy?
Judge Munley. He was appointed by President Clinton. In his 200-page decision against the city of Hazleton, to show how he was legislating from the bench, he said that the federal government wants strict border enforcement, but not so strict enforcement on the interior, and that a person is not in the country illegally until they're brought before an immigration judge and determined that they're here illegally. And I hate to disagree with the good judge, but a person is here illegally the very first foot they step on American soil without proper documentation. That would be like saying a person's not intoxicated until they get caught. So we've appealed the decision. We're waiting for that decision to come down any day now out of the Third Circuit Court in Philadelphia. And in the meantime, if this story could get any worse for the city of Hazleton, our insurance carrier, the ACLU, although they were working for the illegal aliens pro bono for free, they've asked the judge for a $2 million judgment against the city of Hazleton to pay their lawyers' fees. They want the taxpayers to pay.
That's the MO.
Pay
that's
their
the
fees.
SOP for them.
And the insurance carrier, after the decision came down against us, decided that they didn't have an obligation to defend us. So they sued us.
What had they been doing before?
Well,
Did they defend you throughout?
They did.
Changed their minds when they came down to pay the bill.
Back in the federal courthouse we go, and we lost that case. Another federal judge ruled in favor of the insurance carrier that they are not obligated to pay the lawyer's fees if in fact we lose the appeal.
Well, did they think they were obligated to defend you as well?
Well, they were there during the defense, but apparently after the case, and they realized that they could be on the hook for $2 million if we don't win the appeal, they took action against the city and won. So this has truly been again, just a small town standing up basically by itself, but we weren't by ourselves because hundreds of thousands of people around the United States have helped us with this fight, and that's how we've been able to continue fighting. See, they thought we would roll over, that we were just some small town in Pennsylvania, and they would threaten us, and we would just back down and go away, but that hasn't happened. Average Americans have sent $5, $10, $20 to help us to continue this fight, and we are going to fight this right to the Supreme Court if we have to.
What did you have oral argument in the Third Circuit? Did you go and
we did,
like?
and actually I thought it went very, very well. Our attorney Chris Kobach, he's nationally known immigration law professor, did a fantastic job in proving that local government can work in harmony with the federal government. We're not trying to exceed the federal government's obligations, which they've failed to begin with.
Right.
But only through working with local and state government, working in harmony, can we enforce immigration laws and have an effect. The federal government simply cannot do this on their own.
And they won't.
Well, they won't. I'll tell you one thing that's happened in Hazelton. When we catch somebody in the country illegally, ICE, they come immediately because they don't want to see me on the 6 o'clock news. But that is not the case everywhere in the country. I know many cities are frustrated because of the lack of enforcement.
Well, enforcement is the issue. There's enough law there already. The whole debate about immigration reform depends on who you ask. Reform, if you're them, is amnesty. Reform, if you're us, is let's create some sovereignty here, protect our borders, and then get rid of these people when they get in here, when we catch them and stuff.
Well, what I like is preventive medicine. Let's take away the incentive for coming to this country illegally to begin with.
Which is what you're doing with the employees.
Exactly. Let's stop the jobs. Let's stop the government handouts. Let's go after sanctuary cities who are defying federal laws to enforce their own. Let's cut off federal funding to any city that declares itself a sanctuary city. Let's stop the free health care. If you took away the benefits, they would self-deport. The very reason for people coming
they're
here.
self-deporting now because the jobs are so few and far between with the economy being in the midst of it.
That's true. And you know, the people who are affected the most are the legal immigrants, those that are here legally, because we've allowed an underground workforce to come into this country and compete for those very same jobs. And obviously, you know, illegal aliens who are here not paying taxes, not paying for health care, can work for a lot less than somebody who's doing things the right way.
Let's talk about Hazelton for a minute. How big is the town? How many people?
30,000, approximately 30,000 people.
And how many illegal aliens do you think you got?
Well, back when we had our lawsuit in 2006, it was determined over 10% of our entire population was there illegally, and I'm sure that's grown since then.
10%.
In fact, here's an amazing statistic. Our population in the past 10 years has grown by 50%, which is a huge growth for a city, but our taxes have declined.
Oh, gee. What could be the answer to that little conundrum?
It's just an amazing. And if there's any wonder,
it's an underground culture.
If there's any wonder why we're watching cities across one by one cities going bankrupt, we're going to see this. I predicted it 3 years ago. You're going to start seeing cities crumbling under the burden because our budgets are not big enough to carry people who are not paying their fair shares. States like California and others who are not addressing illegal immigration. We're going to see more and more of it, and you know, for anyone who believes that it's not a serious issue, it's affecting healthcare, it's affecting education, it's affecting our national security. Name another issue that has such a great effect on so many other issues in this country.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think the spot that we're in, and I applaud the folks from FAIR here that are doing this, they're making this noise. So, as I said, the only people that care about this issue are the people.
That's true.
You can't find a congressman, you can't find a senator, you sure can't find a president that thinks about this. Lou Barletta is the mayor of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, beleaguered but not bowed. We'll be right back.